I think possibly before we go into the agenda meeting, it might be an opportunity to inform the committee that Parish Representative Michael Roos has resigned and asked the monitoring officer to write thanking Michael. I did write to him as chairman and thanked him for his services to the committee and the community. But I think it might be nice if we get Annette to write to him from the committee. Members agree that?
Yep.
Right, we'll start with item 1, apologies for absence. Anna, are
Thank you very
you?
much, Chairman. Yeah. So we've had
Do we have any?
apologies from independent person, Peter Charlesworth, our independent person. And if you don't mind, I'll take a quick roll call.
Right, no, that's fine.
Right, so we'll start with yourself, Councillor Ireton.
Yes,
You're
present.
here. Councillor Mercer,
Here. Here.
Councillor Metcalfe,
Present.
Councillor Soloway,
I'm present.
Councillor Whitaker,
I'm here. I think.
and then we've got our parish representative, Robert Stead.
He's waving his hands. He hadn't,
And then our independent person, John Bumfrey.
Just unmute yourself, Robert. Yes, can you unmute?
Robert, in order to unmute, you'll need to take your cursor to the top right-hand corner of your screen, and hopefully there'll be a little button there that will allow you to unmute.
It's actually on the left on my machine, so
Yeah,
check all corners.
left bottom on mine.
Oh,
Yeah.
well. It sounds as though you're there now, though.
Oh, yes. Yes, you are.
Right. Can't hear him.
I can't,
So
but it's mute,
independent
isn't it?
person, John Bumfrey.
Yes.
Thank you. And then our other independent person, Roger Millen.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you very much. That's it, Chairman.
Thank you, Annette, for that. We'll move on now for confirmation of the minutes. Before we perhaps sign those off, an update on STN 371. That was the member and officer protocol was adopted at the meeting of council in August. So that all went through. I'll move the minutes if members agree them.
Agree.
Yeah.
I think everyone's indicated that, Anna. So what do I do? Do I sign these minutes and post them to you? Will that be a way forward?
I think at the moment it's just we take it as approved.
Right, right. Thank you. Item 3 is public participation. Do we have any this evening?
We haven't got any, Chairman, no.
No, thank you. We move now to item 4, and that's declaration of interest. Any member wishing to declare interest? Thank you. Item 3 is public participation. Do we have any this evening? I thought we'd done that.
We haven't.
And there's no members of the public wanting to speak. We hadn't actually dealt with that. Right, item 5. That's, I think, the work programme, isn't it? Can I hand over to you, Annette, to go through this?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Good evening, everybody.
So this is our usual report about the committee's work programme for the coming year. You'll see at paragraph 3.2, there's a table which sets out the key items of work which have been completed in the past year. It's really quite pleasing given the circumstances over the last year that we've managed to complete the majority of the work programme. You'll note that I'm suggesting that we carry forward the one piece of work which we didn't complete, which is the review of the officers' code of conduct. And then members, it's over to you to ask you to debate and set the work programme for 2021. Thank you.
Is that date right, Annette? It's carry forward to the 2021. Are we not in that now, 2021? Or am I missing something?
Are you referring to recommendation 2.1, Chairman?
Well, at 3.4, it says one item from the 2019-20 work programme is incomplete. If members agree, this will be carried forward to the 2021 programme. Are we not in that now? Does it need? Are we expecting to do that before end of April?
Yes, that's we need to set the work programme to include that outstanding piece of work.
Right, thank
before
you.
the conclusion of this year.
Right, thank you. I did try to contact you this morning to just clarify on that. Right, members, over to you. Any comments on the work programme? Andy, were you speaking, Andy?
Chairman, I'm very happy with this. No problem with it at all.
Right.
Very, very thorough, and we follow this work programme.
Right, thank you. Any other member wishing to speak on it? Councillor Metcalfe, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I agree with Councillor Soloway. The only thing I would ask people to consider is, in the light of the local government reorganisation, would it be a good idea to make an addition, looking at or asking perhaps the monitoring officer to provide information to the committee on codes of conduct across different authorities. And I think also, you know, if this, which it will happen, who would be the lead on this as well? And just your thoughts, and if you think that would be a good addition.
Well, I suppose we've got to wait to see what the outcome of that is, whether it's all North Yorkshire or whether it's East West. And then it will be the new authority that will set that up. Am I correct in that, Annette?
In terms of the East-West proposal, there will be work streams going on now. So I could certainly bring a report to the committee outlining what the initial thoughts are in terms of standards committee, codes of conduct, etc. As you rightly say, if it's a North Yorkshire County Council unitary, then that would be led by them. But presumably there'd need to be input from the districts and some sort of levelling up in terms of standards across the county.
Yeah, good point too. Yeah. Bill, Councillor Metcalfe.
Thank you, Chairman. I guess one of the concerns is that the codes of conduct that we have at Craven District may be of a, can I say, higher standard, and there may be a number of inconsistencies across different authorities. And excuse me, I think we do need to be proactive, although we don't fully know how it's going to pan out. I think it's better to be prepared I don't want to waste anybody's time, but those are just my thoughts on it, that we're better been prepared than not, and raising people's or other authorities' standards if that is the case. Thank you. Thanks.
Right, thank you.
Can I just confirm that I've got all the documents I'm meant to have here? I've got agenda item 5.
Yes.
Is there meant to be a document that has a list of work to be done beyond what appears in item 5, agenda item 5?
Annette? I don't.
No, I think you've got everything there, John.
Right. So
This is looking at what, it's like Sue's saying, that perhaps we should be looking at, into the future on
yes,
reorganisation. Maybe a little bit difficult, where we go and who we negotiate with on that until it actually happens. But I'll take advice off either the independent persons that we've got or our monitoring officer.
yeah. So we have, as far as I can see, I don't have a list of what it is proposed to deal with in 2020, 2021, apart from at 3.4. Or do I have a different document from other people?
Chair, perhaps I can answer that. No, you're absolutely right, John. That's the only item on
right,
there
okay.
at the moment. That's what we're debating, any other items to add to it.
Right. In the light of Black Lives Matter having become an issue, would it be sensible to have a little look at how we can set about ensuring that our committee representation represents as closely as possible the community we represent? So it would be sensible to look at, if people are interested in doing this, the makeup of our committee, which is mostly male and white and of modest age, and see whether we can take steps to ensure that it has closer to 50% female membership, and maybe some representation from ethnic minorities or other groups that are less represented than they are at present.
Mm.
How do you organise that, though? That's the trouble.
Well, it's something that we've been trying to deal with at the bar, and you can't make individual chambers employ people who come from particular ethnic groups, and I suspect we can't make people from ethnic groups or make females or younger people stand for election, but we could certainly take some steps to encourage it.
Oh yeah, yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Unless they're going to put themselves forward, it's very difficult to.
I agree, it is difficult, but I think we ought to be seen to be doing things in order to assist that as a programme, because the last thing we want to find is that someone takes issue with us in the future and says that we haven't done enough or we haven't even tried. I think it would be sensible.
I think we did discuss this, didn't we, some 12, 18 months ago. Veronica raised this, didn't she? And it was said then, we are not in control of who gets elected, and we're not in control of who parish councils put forward. The only thing I suppose we're in control of, in a way, is the independent persons. And, you are 3 males.
Yeah.
So, but again, if people don't apply for that role, we can't alter that, can we? It's advertised openly, publicly and openly for those. And I don't think there's been, we have had females on as independent persons. I think Mrs. Wilson was one, wasn't she? But as I say, last time, I don't think there's any females. So we're not, it's like Roger said, we're in the hands of them applying, John.
Yeah. Well,
but it's worth raising. And
I realise that it's a difficulty, But
can be minuted, can't it?
I think that in order to safeguard the committee and the perception of the committee for the future, it would be sensible to take some steps if we can. And even if those steps are to formally encourage application or to formally encourage political parties to ensure that this committee, even ahead of others, has people from minority groups, because ultimately we are sitting in judgment on other people. And it's important that people who sit in judgment of other people are representative not only of the people that they're going to judge, but the people on behalf of whom they are doing the judging.
Perhaps we could have a discussion at 8 when we review the number of parish representatives. We went out for that, and I think we got one applicant who was male.
Yes.
Now, whether we should, as a committee, re-advertise that.
In a way, I don't
fair or
see
not.
this
If
as
we-
something that we need to do right now and solve right now. I think that this is something that we should include a considered piece of work on sometime during our programme to make sure that we take a broad range of views, that we look at a range of methods that we can approach things. And if people are uncomfortable about doing that, so that they can, put their ducks in order to oppose it, as much as people who might wish to support it and promote it. I don't think it's something we should do now. I think it's something we should include in the work.
I think
Annette, what views have you got on that? Sorry, Roger.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. I was just going to ask John, we are of course limited by the terms of reference for the committee. So whether this is an item better suited to the council's policy committee, I'm not quite sure. So I was just going to ask where in the terms of reference you were thinking we would slot that in, to consider other areas where there may be a need for a local code or protocol.
Yes, let me have a little look at our code. Sorry, I don't have it to hand.
Whilst John's looking, Roger, would you like to come in?
Yeah, John's got a very valid point. I'm just concerned from the practical point of view as to who we go out to. You've got, in order to go out to people, you've got to identify groups that you're going to approach, whether they be local Muslim groups or somebody. I don't really see, other than just generally advertising, how you will appeal to individuals. So if you can't appeal to, if it's difficult to appeal to individuals, then the next best way of doing it is to appeal to some groups. And it's identifying those groups and approaching them, I think, is a method of satisfying John's very valid points, but it must be quite a difficult practical thing to do, I would have thought, because even if you approach 100 groups, somebody will say, "Hang on, you've missed the 101." It's a very difficult thing to do practically.
And if you target one group, is it fair on the other groups? Really? Yeah, provided it's done in openness, I think it's up to the individuals to apply. Annette, how are we going to move this forward?
Chair, I could suggest that I do a piece of work looking at how we could review the local codes and protocols in the council constitution to maximise inclusivity.
Can we agree with that, members?
I'd be very happy with that.
Yeah, good. Right, any other points on this, members?
Just that you are, Mr. Chairman, you are of course on YouTube, so people will be listening from anywhere that might like to.
Yeah, well, yes, yeah. So. Right, so we're recommended to note the work of the committee during 2019-20 and agree the committee's work programme. So if we look at that piece of work, Annette, And we can agree that, can't we? So we move on now then, if there's no further questions on that, to item 6, implementation of the CSPL best practice recommendation. Members, over to you. Any comments on this? Members? No?
No.
Would you like?
Fine with this, Chairman.
Annette, would you like to highlight any point?
I think the
Senate?
report's self-explanatory. So Appendix 1 sets out our progress against the action plan we agreed in July last year.
Yeah.
And Appendix 2 proposes a draft response to the Committee on Standards in Public Life. I was just going to update, Chair. I've attended the Standards Conference for Monitoring Officers today, which was a virtual conference this year for obvious reasons. And Dr. Jane Martin, a member of the Committee on Standards in Public Life, did a short session providing an update on this piece of work that they've done. She wanted to pass on the message that the 26 recommendations the committee made, which require changes to legislation, rather understandably, they're still waiting for a response from central government. And in terms of the 15 best practice recommendations, they're undertaking a review of the implementation of those best practice recommendations. And they'll be publishing a report in early 2021. And of course, as soon as that's available, I'll circulate it to all members of the committee. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Just on the Appendix B 2, this is the council should include provisions in their code of conduct requiring councillors to comply with any formal standards investigation. And the progress members' code of conduct does not currently include this specific requirement. When next reviewed, is there any way of bringing that forward and introducing it into the code, Annette? Because I don't know when we're going to review that piece of work. And I think it is a valid point where, you know, we have seen where people can be very difficult in not being helpful when they've been investigated. Is there any way we can bring that forward?
Chairman, do you want to jump back to the previous item and add it to the work programme?
Well, if it needs adding to the work programme.
Yep, can do that.
Right, yeah. And then we can get that done before we review the thing. And also there was on it at 15 where it says senior officers should meet regularly with political group leaders and group whips to discuss standards issue. It says there that the leadership team meets regularly. Should that be a specific point where the monitoring officer, you know, perhaps every 12 months or every 6 months meets with them to make sure that the members are on course to abide by the code of conduct?
Chair, are you suggesting a separate meeting or that I add it to the agenda as a standing item?
I think it would be better, possibly if it was a separate meeting, okay, rather than, you know, having it in the meeting that you have.
Can someone assist me on who the council's corporate leadership team is considered to be?
Annette, you were one, so perhaps you'd like to say the rest. Paul Ellis.
Yes, the corporate leadership team is made up of the Chief Executive, Director of Services, Chief Financial Officer, and the strategic manager for planning and economic development, and myself.
Yes. So it strikes me that having all of those people meeting with the group leaders on this issue every 6 months might be a heavy-handed way of dealing with things. Perhaps there ought to be a rota by which one or perhaps two members meet with them. But I would think that doing it relatively regularly would be quite important. It doesn't need to be a long meeting. It may be 5 minutes to see that there's no problems, but there needs to be an opportunity for a difficulty to be drawn to the corporate leadership team's attention if one arises. And there also needs to be the embarrassment for a political team if there is a problem and it hasn't been brought to the leadership team's attention at a meeting that has occurred at a regular frequency. If you have that occurring every year, it has no power, in my view. It's perhaps something that should occur just before perhaps a standards committee meeting, so that if an issue arises, it can be dealt with at the standards committee meeting. And perhaps, you know, the standards committee meeting each time could say, has there been anything raised that's problematic to the corporate leadership team, just as a matter of making sure that we're on top of these things as time passes.
Right, thank you for that, John. So can we take that on board, Annette, then? I would have thought meeting with the monitoring officer, with the group leaders or the whips. I don't think we do have it. I don't think we have any whips, do we? But the group leaders, that could be done before full council or whatever, and let them know that we're serious about standards.
Yes, I'm certainly happy to meet with the group leaders on my own as monitoring officer. We do, of course, have a group leader who's a member of the committee. I don't know whether
I was just going to come to Andy to see what his views are on it, but I wanted your views first. Andy.
Yes, we have fairly regular group leaders meetings at which Annette often attends, if not always attends, and if there's any standards issues, they could be very easily dealt with there. In fact, we're having a group leaders meeting tomorrow, so maybe it could be combined with that. We do meet regularly. It's group leaders meetings tend to be about at least every 2 months, maybe more often when there's a big issue, maybe. And also, the deputy group leaders could be involved here as well. I mean, our group leaders meetings have been attended by other councillors. Well, so I think maybe potentially that's the forum and for it. I'd be interested to hear Annette's thoughts, but I would be happy with that arrangement because we discuss all kinds of things. And if there is a standards issue that Annette wants to raise with us, or we want to raise with her, that's possibly the forum for it.
Right, so can we leave that with you, Annette, then? Whether you want to bring a report back to us as a standards committee, or whether we just implement it.
Chairman, the monitoring report that I produce at every meeting, I could add a section to that to report on any issues that have been raised at the group leaders meeting. So if I add standards as a standing item to that agenda and then also add it to the usual monitoring report that I present to committee, that might be a way forward.
Because I should imagine the groups will have issues with the members, so that would be good. Any other views, members? No? Right, we'll move the recommendation then. Accept that. We now move on to item 7, the annual review of complaints received by the council. Can I hand over to you, Annette, on this, please?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. So it's the report of the council's complaints manager. providing the committee with information about formal complaints handled by the council during the period 1st of April 2019 to 31st of March 2020. You'll see at page 4 of the officer's report that 48 formal complaints have been received. 7 of those were dissatisfied with the stage 1 response. All were upheld at the Chief Executive's review stage, and 1 was referred to the Local Government and Social Care Ombudsman. On the subject of the Ombudsman, you'll see on page 5 that 7 complaints were made to the Ombudsman, which is down from 16 last year, and there were no findings of fault against the council. Just finally, you'll see that last month the Ombudsman published new advice to councils, guidance on effective complaint handling. Initial review shows that the council's current procedure is consistent with that new guidance, but will be subject to a more detailed review in due course. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. I believe the waste management complaints, which is the highest number, a lot of those were to do with the actual policy, were they, of introducing street end collection.
I'm going to say that would be my instinct as well, but I don't have the data behind those figures, but I can certainly find out and circulate it to the members of the committee.
Yeah, I know there was great concerns when that was introduced. So I'm trying to understand the reason why it's higher than actual planning, which is, you know, a thing that people, both applicants and objectors, get very wound up about, don't they? Members, over to you. Any comments on this?
No, I don't think so, except as I agree with you, I was very surprised to see that waste exceeded planning complaints.
Yeah. I think that'll be the reason why, but I suppose we do need to perhaps know the actual reason rather than just assuming it. Yeah. Right, you can accept the recommendation on that, members, then. We will now move on to item 8, which is the review of number of parish representatives on the committee. And look forward to welcoming Councillor Balsamine, is it? However you pronounce that. And I'm happy to recommend this appointment to council. So this is about, do we reduce the parish representation down to 2 from 4? We're having difficulty fulfilling that. Whether the female, male or whatever. Views on it, members, please. Councillor Metcalfe.
I think we need to wait for the reorganisation. That would presumably make sense, rather than changing it from 2 to any more right now.
It's going down from 4 to 2. So yeah.
That's what I mean.
So if we leave it as it is, then we'll have to re-advertise, won't we, to fill that number?
No, sorry. What I was saying is that, is there any point in advertising when there's going to be a reorganisation?
My view is no, there's not, Councillor Metcalfe.
I agree.
But we will have to alter our terms of reference, will we? It says 4 parish council representatives. We'll have to alter that down to 2, won't we?
Yeah.
For my information, then, sorry to butt in.
And do we do that at an act, or does that go to policy? With a recommendation from us?
Yeah, if the committee's minded to reduce the number down to 2 immediately, it would need to go to council because it would be an amendment to the constitution. Alternatively, we could defer making that decision until later in this municipal year and see where we're at with local government reorganisation, and make a decision at that stage. But if you're firmly of the view that the committee is better served with 2 parish representatives, then we would take it as a recommendation to the next meeting of council.
Mr. Millen. Roger.
Just for my interest and knowledge, have we got any idea of the lead time on this reorganisation? I've got no idea, but I don't know whether you guys have.
It's about 18 months, I think, isn't it?
So that's quite a long lead time. I just wondered whether it was justified in holding off on a decision for. I mean, I know the decision will have to eventually be made, and it will all come about. But I'm just wondering, sort of, how long you hang off for before you make a decision.
I'm with you there, Roger, because I think if we leave it, we know we're short. We know what our terms of reference are, that it's 4 parish representatives, and if we leave it, we should try and fill that. Or we alter it down to 2. Have you any thoughts on this, John?
No, I agree that it looks wrong to have an 18-month period of time where we're meant to have 4 members and we in fact only have 2, and we're not appearing to do anything about it. And just feels a lot like kicking a can down the road. If we're going to decide that we want to just have 2, then we should make that decision, and we should ask for the necessary changes to be done, because that gives a good example to the rest of the council about how one should behave when dealing with an issue that can be dealt with now. And the idea of not putting it to council just because we don't feel, or because we feel that it might involve a little bit of extra work. I'm aware that it does, but that's kind of how democracy works, and you have to go through these things.
Yeah. Andy, I think you were indicating, were you?
Yes, I mean, yes, the time scale for local government reorganisation, if it goes ahead on either part, is certainly 18 months. There was even a date of 2023 even mentioned the other night. So we are looking at quite a long time. I'm always very surprised that we don't get more interest from the parish councils anyway. I've always, I mean, to be honest, if we've got 4 spaces and there's so many parish councils and so many parish councillors, and we can't fill those 4 spaces, I think it almost asks the question, what are the parish's views on this? We've had very, very good parish council representation on this committee. They've been absolutely excellent, and they continue to be so. And I'm very surprised we've got 3 town councils even in the area, and they don't seem to be that interested. It's not for lack of trying. I'm just thinking, if we cut it down to 2, we might actually be in the other unfortunate situations. The parishes start complaining that we've kind of shut them out. I don't know. It's just my own thought.
Yeah. I'm going to ask Robert if he's the parish representative sitting with us this evening. What's your views on it, Robert?
I think the 4 will be a good number, and because I'm the only one here today. I'm the parish rep today.
Yes. Yeah.
So it gives, if there's 4, there's more chance there's going to be more people attending these meetings, because, to be perfectly honest, from my point of view, I always feel that I can't input things, I'm observing.
Yes,
so the more people who observe these meetings and can report back to where they come from, the parishes, the better.
Yeah. The thing is that we can't fulfil the numbers as a committee.
No.
We've advertised, and we were wanting, was it 2 or 3 in that 2 seats, and we only got 1 applicant.
Pity.
And so I think we've got to try and address that. We can't say we have 4 members and we're running with 2 all the time. Yeah. Councillor Whitaker.
Yes, David. I thought we split it up into 2 areas as well. I thought there was the north had 2 and the south had 2 at one time.
At one time, yeah.
Is it a long time ago? I mean, about 2.
Yes, I think it's quite a few years, isn't it, since we used to do that. Yeah.
Yes. Well, that may probably make it easier to get at least 1 from each. So.
Have you any thoughts on it, Bill?
Yes, I have actually. I've just been listening about the leading time to the changes, etc. I believe we should have 4. I think the greater the contribution, the better. The leading time for changes within authority structures, etc. I don't think really matters, because I'm up for election in May and anything can change within the following year. So I think just to delay something because of 18 months changes might come in is immaterial. I think we should go out there and get more people involved. And perhaps we should be a bit more proactive on our own parish councils to encourage them to come forward.
Yeah, we're not talking of delaying it. We're looking at, do we go for 4 parish council members or do we cut it back to 2 members?
Or reduce it, yeah. Well, I think we go for the 4. I think we keep it as it is.
So,
like you say, you'll end up, if you make the decision to go to policy and try and reduce it and change your own constitution, in the timescale, I think we just get a bit more proactive, and perhaps we can get an equal balance of people on this committee, which John said. You know, there is a lack of a female contribution, and we might get that through the parish, the parish representatives.
Right.
I'm reluctant to streamline, if you will. I'm reluctant to maximise what we've got. I'd rather maximise.
Yeah. So are you proposing, Bill, that we stop at 4? We need a proposal on the table.
I think we go for, I propose yes, I do, Chair. I think I propose we go for 4 and maximise the committee and get people involved. Right. I think reducing it to 2, it doesn't settle with me, if you will.
Right. So do we need a seconder for that from voting members?
I'll second it.
Right. Can we have a vote on that then, members, that we remain at 4 and re-advertise? All in favour of that, please? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And 2 against. Sue, are you against or abstaining?
I'm going to abstain.
Yeah, right. So that's carried. Yeah. So we'll have to re-advertise the next. And we'll take on board what John mentioned earlier on in the debate and see how we can ought to aim for a wider membership.
Can I just make clear for the record that I wasn't not voting in favour of it? I'm not allowed to vote. So
you're not allowed to vote, John. No.
Yeah.
I said the voting members.
Yes, no, I fully understand that, but I can see what it looks like on screen with me not putting my hand up.
Right,
I don't want people to think that I'm not interested.
Right. Well, I perhaps
same with me as well.
Yeah, I better explain to anyone that's watching. It is only the district councillors that are entitled to vote. So the 2 independent representatives this evening and the parish representative do not have a vote. So I hope that makes things clear.
Yeah, that's right. I support,
right, thank you.
Support it, but I obviously not allowed to vote.
No. Right, we now move on to your busy time of monitoring report. There's been quite a change here, hasn't there?
Bit of a flurry, Chairman.
You virtually had it up. You virtually had it up to a clean sheet of paper.
Yeah.
You're
Yes.
going to carry on like this, you're going to need two.
First, a huge thank you to independent person Roger Millen, who I had working all weekend on a couple of matters, a dispensation matter, and then one of the complaints, which is actually 5 complaints, providing his independent person view on that. So yes, I'm obviously happy to answer any questions as far as I'm able in a public meeting. It has been busy. It continues to be busy despite the pandemic.
Yes. Are you allowed to sort of tell us a little bit about September? Seems like it's been a very, very busy month with complaints. Are they all different ones? So all different complaints about different people, or different complaints about the same person?
No, they are complaints about different individuals, but they come out of the same set of circumstances.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I see they're all town council related. It's very pleasing to see that there's no district councillors been under your strict watchful eye. So that's good. And I would like to thank both our independent persons for the time they give up and very valuable advice that they give us. Thank you very much, both of you. Yeah.
Pleasure.
Right, members, have any questions on the report? It's there for information. No, no one indicating. Or did Andy indicate on the last minute? No.
Sorry. Yeah. If I could just come in,
Yeah.
There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over the page, 7 sort of basic complaints that have been dealt with. In fact, there's more. This is it should be recognised. This takes up a huge amount of time and commitment from people, and we do need to, I think, as Standards Committee, not only recognise that, but actually put that out into the public domain, that when we deal with a complaint or complaints from an organisation or from a town council, from a district council, the amount of time and involvement that officers and independent take on this, and the amount of expertise there, it really is. So it sort of puts forward the notion that people should stick by the standards and stick by codes of conduct, but not only because it's the right thing to do, but because to do otherwise takes up an inordinate amount of valuable people's time dealing with it, and cost, and that should be really recognised. That standards committees, there's a cost implication, there's a time implication, there's lots of implications for this. And I mean, just looking that we were looking last year at a report that I think had 2 or 1 on, and suddenly it's gone up. And I've got a very good idea where it's come from. An amazing amount of time and effort that has been put into dealing with these particular cases. Amazing amount. And it should be acknowledged, but also put out in the public domain how much time it's taken up.
Yeah, certainly kept someone busy. Right, so we'll receive that report, members. Thank you for that, Annette, and the independent persons, and good luck with reducing it. Yeah. Right, I think that I can find my agenda. We've no other business to debate, members, so We move on now to date and time of next meeting, Wednesday, the 20th of January, 2021 at 6:30. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Anna, Annette, and we'll let you switch off, Anna.